As a kid, I've always loved animation. Animation was such a huge part of my childhood that even now in my adult years, I'm still very fascinated by the medium, even having plans of building my own little worlds. With the release of Kung Fu Panda 4 and the trailer for a new movie called The Wild Robot, it got me thinking about where DreamWorks is as a studio and how many of their movies helped shape my love for the medium. Welcome everybody, this is The Reverie, and today we'll be talking about how DreamWorks shaped our childhoods. DreamWorks Animation Studios began as DreamWorks SKG, a division under DreamWorks Pictures in 1994. The SKG standing for Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Geffen, three major players in the entertainment industry. With Spielberg bringing in talent from his now defunct animation studio Amblimation and some other talents recruited by Katzenberg, they made their first movie Ant Z, and it kickstarted an era of success for the studio. DreamWorks' next movie would come in the form of The Prince of Egypt, a very bold step made by the studio, a 2D adaptation of the religious story of Moses with beautiful traditional animation, transcendent music, and a great cast. The film was released to critical and commercial success. They would release 4 more 2D animated films in Spirit, The Road to El Dorado, Joseph, King of Dreams, and Sinbad, The Legend of the Seven Seas. They couldn't quite capture the greatness and success of The Prince of Egypt, but one good thing did come out of these films. Sorry. The failure of Sinbad, which caused them a whopping $125 million loss, basically ended traditional animation in DreamWorks, with Katzenberg saying, "I think the idea of a traditional story being told using traditional animation is likely a thing of the past." DreamWorks for me was a huge staple of my childhood. I remember watching Shrek for the very first time. I think I first saw it in 02, 03, and I fell in love with the movie. The story, the characters, the humor, the music. That was DreamWorks' superpower, the humor. One thing I love about DreamWorks is that it never really tried to be like the others. It always tried to be distinct from the competition. Disney and Pixar were the major competitors with their own style, but DreamWorks went a different path. While Disney loved its musicals and Pixar was renowned for making amazing animation that focused on emotional beats, DreamWorks was focused on the humorous side, something we could see in movies like the Shrek franchise, Megamind, Madagascar, Over the Hedge, Kung Fu Panda, Shark Tale, and many others. Even with movies like The Prince of Egypt and Chicken Run, DreamWorks couldn't quite burst into the scene as a major competitor until the release of Shrek. Shrek was a massive critical and commercial success. It launched DreamWorks into a different stratosphere. It became the 4th animated movie to be nominated for the Palme d'Or and also got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars and went on to win the very first Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Shrek became a cultural phenomenon, gathering praise for its animation, humor, voice cast, and music. Shrek diversified animated films and made it possible for films outside of the Disney bubble to gain attention and fame. It was able to blend pop culture and adult humor in a way that was able to cater to both kids and adults. It was able to leave a lasting impact on animation in the early 2000s. Shrek inspired other movies like Hoodwinked and Happily Never After to embrace the fairy tale parody, even though it was to less success. Shrek spawned 3 sequels, a spin-off franchise, video games, and many more, and became a viable franchise worth an estimated $6.3 billion. DreamWorks became even more successful with the release of other movies like Madagascar, Over the Hedge, and Shark Tale, which all featured ensemble casts, great humor, and endearing characters. Even though these movies received mixed reviews by critics, they were all commercial successes. Through their partnership with Aardman, the stop-motion company, they released Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, and Flushed Away. While they were all critical and commercial successes, Flushed Away was a huge commercial failure even though it was well received, prompting the studio to end its partnership with Aardman. They would taste more failure with the release of the B movie, which was a disappointment given the pedigree of its leading star Jerry Seinfeld. Even though Shrek the Third was a hit in the same year, DreamWorks needed a new IP, a new entry that would lead DreamWorks into the 2010s. Enter the Dragon Warrior. In 2008, Kung Fu Panda was released, a vibrant, action-packed, wuxia-based comedy centered around a group of anthropomorphic animals, starring Jack Black as Po, the titular character. I remember watching it for the first time. That movie became one of my top animated films of all time. I simply could not get enough of it. I remember being so captivated by its visuals. It was so vibrant and striking to me. It looked better than any animated film I had seen at that time. With a great supporting cast, the movie was a huge critical and commercial success. The movie even sparked a debate in China about how the West was able to make an authentic Chinese-inspired film and not the Chinese themselves. It became a viable franchise of its own, spawning multiple sequels, TV shows, games, and many more. DreamWorks continues to stand among the best in the business by releasing other classics like Megamind and the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. How to Train Your Dragon was another beautiful piece by DreamWorks that I loved as a kid. The world of dragons, the endearing characters, the more mature tone, a great cast. It was a breath of fresh air for a studio that sought to keep their winning streak going. Sooner rather than later, the animation industry started to become stale. DreamWorks started to become stale. The risk taker started to become formulaic, with movies like Home, The Boss Baby Croods, Trolls, and even the awful Turbo. With the conclusion of the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, it seemed that DreamWorks was devoid of innovation again. With the release of Captain Underpants, there was hope, as its stylized animation was a hit both critically and commercially. DreamWorks had gone back to its roots with funny humor, great cast performances, and stunning animation. DreamWorks couldn't quite find its footing with movies like Abominable, the Trolls series, and Boss Baby franchise. The climate was stale, but there was hope that would open new possibilities for not just DreamWorks but other animation studios as well. Sony Animation would announce a Spider-Man movie to be released in 2018 called Into the Spider-Verse. There wasn't much faith in the movie due to the recent failure of the Emoji Movie. After its release, the movie would receive widespread critical acclaim and achieve decent box office success. Into the Spider-Verse would revolutionize the animation industry with its use of 2D and 3D blend of stylized animation. It would play with frame rate, traditional animation, and comic book inspired textures instead of focusing entirely on realism. The widespread success of Into the Spider-Verse made way for the industry to shift from the Pixar style of realism to more stylized animation. DreamWorks would tap into this revolution and produce The Bad Guys, which was a twist on the heist genre, just like Shrek was for fairy tales. The film would go on to be a critical and commercial success, with praise for its animation, humor, and writing. This shift would open up doors for more stylized movies. They would also release Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which would go on to be a critical and commercial success. It would even score a nomination for Best Animated Feature. Even with the failure of Ruby Pillman, the future looks bright for DreamWorks, with Kung Fu Panda 4's release and the beautiful trailer for The Wild Robot. DreamWorks has come a long way, and is still proving to be one of the best in the business. If The Wild Robot is anything to go by, DreamWorks seems to be soaring to even greater heights with a movie that looks to be one for the ages. And that's the video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another one. Peace.